We rolling?
And we live.
We live.
Yes, I.
Welcome, welcome, for everybody that's listening to another Keepers of the Light interview. The interview series is going to be called GAFT. That stands for Gathering Attention for Dialogue. It's a Machiavellian strategy where in which one does what it takes to gather attention for dialogue. Sometimes the way we word things is a different type of hook for a fish seen. So we give thanks for that. But without further ado, we want to welcome our very, very special guest today for our interview. We're super ecstatic to have the brother, the Idrin in the faith, brother Joshua David Barrett, who is a distinguished American musician who's well known for his contributions to reggae and former lead singer of the Wailers, uh, the legendary band which you might all know by the name of Bob Marley. Scene. This is the offspring. Scene. This is what the foundational root of the faith, which is family, has has borne, and it's a wonderful fruit. We enjoy the fruits of the spirit that come out of the divine temple of our brother Joshua David Barrett. So yeah, brother Joshua, first and foremost, how's the eye? How's the eye's family and travels? Everything Irie with your family.
Yes, greetings and blessed love, Hydra, give thanks for having we and to the massive ways tuning in. Love for light, fun. It's blessed Malcolm Tim Card, happy Epiphany, and blessed Epiphany to everyone,
Yeah,
family and everyone is blessed. We give thanks for life, We're enduring
yeah.
in these times, so we give thanks for life.
Dean.
Yes, I.
Yes, I. So I had a couple questions. One that was kind of stemming from before, which is how did you come about to start making music, and when did that first start showing signs that it was something that you knew you were going to be doing, as a career path? Those, I think, foundations are important before we ask other questions. So we'd love to hear, a little bit about your past. I know you're from New Jersey, right?
Yes, born and raised New Jerusalem.
Seen.
Yes,
Okay. I'm from NEW Jersey. That's the
yeah,
one line I
indeed.
remember from the Outlaws, man, and I love Buddy, man. So
Yes, musically, I want to say music has been a part of my life from ever since. With my family, growing up in church, me and my cousins, we all had to sing in the choir, you know.
okay.
Um, I have cousins, older cousins, like one of my cousins who was like my brother who transitioned, Sean Del Rey C, right? He was a drummy, and he was also my first musical teacher. He taught me to play drums, and when he saw I took up an interest in bass, he was the first one put me on to people like Marcus Miller, and he was very young. He was only just 2 years my elder, but he was like far advanced beyond his years, and he taught me so much, even just by even watching him, like how to be in tune with the spirit and let your light shine. And I'll never forget those things. I'll never forget the energy you put into his playing unto the Most High, and those things kind of stuck with me over the years.
Okay.
And people where he was mentored by brethren like Jeff Davis, who also transitioned since the COVID era. Um, Man like Reggie Young, Reggie Parker, but particularly these brethren, um, they encouraged me when I was a young lion coming up in music. Brother Donovan Jackson, with my cousin them Kenny Black and my brother Tim Jones. Um, they encouraged us and took us under their wings. So when I was a young lion coming up and playing music, they taught us that it was more important to be a minstrel than a musician, because a minstrel is used by the Most High. You know, and your life, work, and your mission take more meaning when you choose to be a minstrel of the Most High as opposed to just being a flashy musician. You know, and
Okay. So when you say that, you saying
I'm not,
a tool of Almighty.
well, as a minstrel, you work for God. You know, that was the message that I got out of it from particularly one elder brother, Jeff Lowe Davis, Jah rest him soul.
Okay.
He took me one day to meet Reggie Young, who was one of my musical heroes in Queens, New York. And I just remember on the ride back, like I was there with so many other aspiring young lions, DW, Dwayne Wright, and others. I just can't remember everyone who was at the moment, but they really instilled in me this thing, like you have a responsibility with music, not just because you're talented. You have a is a
Right.
calling.
This
So
is
I give thanks for the elders, the village that took time with we to not just say teach me to play music, but make sure, like like Bruce Lee kind of. They make sure there's a spirituality behind the art form.
that and
You know.
that brings me to say, like, a keeper of the light is a person who has light and uses it the way the Lord desired him to use it, and wisely, transmuting energy from the etheric realm into the physical realm, and that energy now, you know that energy now is used for good and for righteousness, and those attributes, I feel like, are what they instilled in you coming up. They saw a young lion and saw oncoming generation, and they invested and sowed those seeds of light in you, and now you use your you use your voice, uh you know what I'm saying, to transform that energy from then to now in its own time. You know what I mean? I think you
Hmm.
have a amazing gift and amazing light. So another question I wanted to ask you is, how did you end up working, actually being the lead singer for the Wailers? What was it that um kind of became the catalyst for that? Because I know you said you were working at one point with Q-Tip, right? So did that have to
Mm.
do with the Whalers, or was that before or after? I would love to hear from your perspective.
Well, Q-Tip is a interesting that you this question, because the journey kind of began. I met Q-Tip when I was a teenager, 17 or
Okay.
18 years, 18, yeah, around that time. Just yeah, I was 18 for sure. 'Cause I was just coming out of college them time, and you know, he groomed me and the brethren, you know, Chris Sholar, Kelvin Sholar, Jonathan Blake. He
Okay.
took us under his wing and kind of showed us the hip hop side, and not only just hip hop, just a whole nother world of music.
Right.
Um, got us listening to stuff that was like the Police and Milton Nascimento and all kind of other things. So I learned a lot about music from being around him. And fast forwarding, I was about 21 um, at this particular time, and is when I got the calling, to separate myself um, unto the Most High. And I remember the Most High told me one morning, just clear as day, say, "You have to left this," you know, and go to a place that you know not of, but trust me, I go lead you. And when I left that in Giwi, Judah tribe, and Judah tribe was I first really second musical mission. Cause my first works was a jazz group called Legacy. So I've been had some experience as a band leader, which was like a jazz, more so a fusion kind of unit. But with Judah Tribe, it was more so that where I understood the Most High is working, where I understood I had a voice. I was always kind of shy to sing, and them kind of thing there. But when Jah give we this mission to gather ones and one, said he was gonna send the tribe, um, and he would give I and I the words, put the word in I and I mouth. All we had to do is just be willing. And from them time, which I was about, yeah, around 24, you know what I mean? Them time there, and start put together this music. Well, through our sojourn about 10 years, you know what I mean? Working with Judah Tribe, um, we had quite a good run, like we hadn't toured much in them time, but we did some little tours and shows, up and down East Coast. But people knew us throughout the country and throughout the world. Even we were blessed to make an impact in large outreach. One of which being born in New Jerusalem. If you don't know, Al Anderson of the Wailers is also from New Jerusalem. He's from Montclair, New Jersey. I'm from Roselle.
Okay.
So I've always had a connection to the Wailers in a sense where, number one, yeah, the Barrett brothers, Aston Barrett and Carlton Barrett. And from me
Right.
see that, I said, I'm a family. They must be my cousin somehow. Is Jamaica is a small place, and I born in New Jersey. My grandfather is my Jamaican root, who's a Barrett. So
Mm-hmm.
them kind of things there. It was like destiny. Eventually, we got a call in 2012. It was Judah Tribe. We got a call to open for the Whalers at NJ Pack, which was
Nice.
our third performance there. But it was there that I met Aston Jr. I had met Family Man 8 years earlier at the Apollo. Or
Okay.
actually, we didn't meet at the Apollo. I saw the Whalers. I met other Whalers at the Apollo. But I met Fams personally after that, having been around. And we were invited to open for the Whalers at NJ Pack for their summer series, of which Aston Jr. and I made a link and kind of talk, through the years. You I want to say it was that reasoning and discussion led to us joining forces musically 2014 when I was asked by Family Man to audition for the Wailers, and that began that journey the following year in January. Now 10 years. That was 10 years ago in January 28th, 2015, when I was asked to join the Whalers on that spacecraft.
How did that transpire? Was that because they saw the work you were doing, they called you in the office, asked you, we need somebody to lead the Whalers, or what? What significant can you remember kind of initiated that, if you can, just briefly? And that's kind of for me as a person who
Yeah.
who's loving the storyline.
What Phelps kind of was watching we from that time Judah Tribe opened for Whalers, and he used to ask Aston Jr., what happened to Josh. And I remember, Aston was kind of like, well, Daddy, him having more on a thing. But I remember Aston Jr. mentioned to me one time, said, Josh would love to bring Whalers, but Whalers thing kind of lock. And I said, and now my sight's really dep on Whalers because I'm is a tall order that we never really think on that. Um,
Hmm.
but one
Yeah.
time, some Adrian convinced we said if it's something like that present itself, You should have look into it.
You
So we
know,
talk to Aston next time we talk to him. We tell him say if there is interest still in work with we, make we
yeah,
know. And so said, so
okay,
done. You know.
yeah. You know, I want to say the Whalers. Um, you being in that position of the Whalers is a legacy in itself, and it's like playing a long movie role. It's like playing a movie role for 4 years. In a sense, they're seeing the spirit of Bob in you, and I think that's really highlighted in not only being able to do Bob's songs, which is a task of its own, but to find your own spirit when you're making music. So you have his essence, but you're also maintaining the eye's own inheritance and essence as an offspring of Bob, taking the
Uh,
everything that he did and now like Kobe and Mike almost. I think that that's
mm,
very has to be really appreciated by fans for someone to step into those type of shoes, which are almost impossible to fill in some people's heads. So how do you reconcile that? Being such amazing artists, standing in the feet of a legend, and you have to be now like almost like Bronny James, where you gotta earn your keep and prove that you have that you are the one that should be on that stage out of all the fans that would love to be in that position. How do you reconcile that in your mind and step into that full throttle, um, leaving any opinions behind you and see me I say the conquering
mm.
lion,
Well, I have to say, it's an honor, a privilege to serve in that capacity. Especially in the time that I was blessed to do so, to work with family man, um, brother Donald Kinsey, Bembo Creary, Fire Wire Anderson, Earl Wire Lindo, excuse me, Al Anderson, Junior Marvin, Foodie, Shima, Aston Jr., um, Ipez, everyone, that brother Tyrone Downey. These are the ones who inspired I when Jack gave me a voice. That was like who the Most High showed me, like, this is the kind of impact where I call you to have in the earth. Like when you work for me on a no no light thing, on a joke thing. You know what I mean? And I understood it was a serious mission because so much people had been touched by this music. I never could see myself singing unto the Most High publicly because I couldn't figure and understand a way to do it where it was hip and where could draw the generation until reggae music. John bring me to reggae music. So to to walk in the footsteps of the great three wise men, Peter, Bunny, and Bob, um, in like the eye trees, what they accomplished together, to be a part of that is an honor, is a privilege, and is a calling. I wouldn't do it
yeah,
if John never called me to it.
scene, scene. Yeah. So I wanted to ask a few questions. Now I'm excited to hear some of the questions that the brother Joshua got. I know you got some questions that you've been wanting to ask me. So give thanks.
Yes, I. Um,
Yes, I.
yes, I. How are you doing, brother?
Yes, bless them.
Yes. Um,
Everything bless. Yes, yeah.
yes, I. So I know you had said earlier, you had grew up in the church. Um, so my question to you is, what led you to become Rastafari, and what led you into I would say the knowledge of His Imperial Majesty and just yeah, what led you to that path?
As the elders say, when you come when you is Rasta, you're born Rasta. You come with a certain God consciousness as a babe. Um, I've always had that awareness that God real. Is when you becomes a teenager, you start to question the God where them teach you about, because you have questions, especially if you grow up in Babylon, America. They don't teach you full history, and if you grow up, you're blessed to grow up around elders who will teach you a piece of truth. My family, fortunately, my grandfather was a preacher. He was from His Majesty generation. He was born 1898, and he was the one who teach we, my family, that we are Cushite, we're Ethiopians. I was a child then and in transition when I was 87, but those things where he used to preach, and my uncle Danny, Jah rest him soul, they used to preach about these things. Stay with me, till when I becomes a teenager now and I ask him questions, because I seen two different Christianity and these two different Christ, like the Apostle Paul said. One is real. And I'm saying Christ, live, but Christ don't look like the Christ that I know. It don't look like the same man, not just image wise, but virtue wise. So when you start questioning those things, is the Most High lead you on a journey where you have to walk alone. And in that walking alone, and led me to the truth, the root, which was Ethiopia. Like Marcus Garvey, who was exonerated today or pardoned today. We want full exoneration. I'm not sure how that worked.
Hmm.
But Marcus said, um, echoing the words of Reverend James Morris Webb, that to look to the east for the coming of the Black King, for our redemption is at hand. I come to understand that redemption was through His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First, being the modern ascendant of King David through King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba in our time. And I understood that I was only taught part of the history, which was the conqueror side of the history. Cause I remember the name Mussolini, but them never teach me about Emperor Haile Selassie the first. So once I realized, say, all of these connections between history and the Bible and Superman, we all grew up with some kind of love of Superman in our red cape and running around our underwears when we were young lads, Superman, Supergirl, and all them kind of things. But I get to understand, say, the real Superman is His Majesty, and him wear a red cape. You understand? So that lead me on a journey to find out who is God and why in history come like some people are asleep and don't know, but the history there. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, that's a big one to me. History, and that's another thing that the I and I was blessed to begin building on a foundation that you know you can argue religion and you can try to argue spirituality, but you can't argue history, brother. If you don't know,
Tin.
you don't know, brother. Seen, and we have a lot of I think we have a lot of important history that needs to be brought into the awareness of our people so that they can make an educated choice and an informed choice as to how they're going to move as one, regardless of where they are on earth. The repatriation start in the mind, see, and in the heart. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah, bringing that awareness. And is that something that you do on your travels when you go around the world? By the way, I'd love to hear some of the places that you visited and performed, and yeah, and then back to Brother Joshua. Forgive me for intervening. I just I
Okay,
want
good.
to make sure some
No
things
doubt.
covered. You know what I mean? So a good thing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I cite in our travels, people throughout the world resonate with his truth. Um, I've been to um, China. I've been to Australia, Brazil, um, extensively through North and South America. Um, I've been up to Switzerland, at Lake Geneva playing reggae music. We've been all throughout the four corners. Been in Amsterdam, you know, and seeing how this truth historically resonate with people because His Majesty traveled the world and people love His Majesty. He's not the world's best kept secret. Everybody know him, but they try to hide it from us. So reggae music, the reggae myelitis come long before COVID, and Rasta infect the world with reggae myelitis. So enough people cry out for
See,
this message and for the truth because it's, for one thing, as an African ascendant, right? It mean everything to me to know that God come to which part me there for liberate I and His Majesty when it come to America, Babylon, North America in 1935. This was the beginning of World War II. Enough people don't acknowledge that. World War II began in Ethiopia. But His Majesty
See,
said, I'm not just the king of
I'm
Africa,
just not. Yeah, I'm the king
king of
of
all the
Negroes
Negroes throughout the world,
everywhere. Yes,
including
sir.
those of the United States. And it would behoove my people to realize that I am the last and best hope against the
Right,
Italian warlord.
right.
See, and so that hope, that work with His Majesty do, that culminate into a song where we know by Bob Marley and the Wailers, War. His Majesty done lick the world with the voice of many waters, which come as a two-edged sword, which talk to the League of Nations and the United Nations. So when I travel to England, I get to go to Bath, England, and visit Fairfield House. Big up Fairfield family, and walk on holy ground in heaven where His Majesty and the royal family live, and fulfill that energy, and to be able to walk place where His Majesty walk with no fear, the conquering Lion of Judah, just like the lion get loose in Rome upon the street the other day. The lion did loose upon earth and walk amongst man. The word become flesh and dwell amongst I and I. And we beheld His glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Emperor Selassie first. See?
I.
I,
Rastafari. Brother Joshua.
Aye.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yes, I. Um, I just kind of want to go back to. I just want to say this your story that you were just talking about with you growing up in Christianity and then kind of like having your questions and then coming to the truth of Rastafari. I just want to say that your story really resonated with I because that's kind of the same thing that I've gone through, and I've grown up most of my life in the church. Then I came across my brother here, Ross Royal, um, and he began to teach me. He began to teach me about the Holy Roman Empire, and His Imperial Majesty, and the ways of Rastafari, and on this journey, it's just what you said has just really resonated with me. Um,
Yeah.
and even being in music, because I also do music myself. And
Respect.
um, one question that I had, as far as your journey since you've been with the Wailers, and even in your solo journey now, what wisdom would you have to give to me and other young artists who are in the sphere trying to navigate the world, just trying to navigate and possibly trying to live a righteous life, trying to find the righteous path? What wisdom would you give to people like us?
Three things I can tell I, and these three things carry me throughout my life. One of the first things that I was told when I realized, say, you have a gift, is my auntie, my aunt Stella, telling me, say, be careful where you lead people. See, the second and the third thing is it was given to me by a word of prophecy from a total stranger who I met at one conference. He was sitting behind me and my Adrian, and he said God told him to give me these two things, one of which was the parable of the sower. Or no, it was the parable of the talents. Excuse me, the parable of the talents. And the second thing was the scripture: a man's gift make room for him and bring him before great men. So these three things I would tell the youth, because we Israel, Yisraelim, especially Yehud, Judah, we musical gifted people, have a careful where we lead people. Because we all have a talent, but we have to use that talent where the Most High give. We let your light shine. Teach people how you come out through darkness, but you have to go through life with that kind of hope. Understand, no, say, use a, like His Majesty said, you want to be a tool in the hand of the Almighty. Because whether Him give you one talent, or two talent, or five talent, Him want a return upon what Him give it. So the Most High, whatever Him give you, you have to go give Him back something. So you can't come empty-handed, especially no matter who you are, no matter what your talent is, no matter where you come from. You have to use what God give you. Because I'm saying a man's gift make room for him, male or female, and bring him before great men, male or female. So them word they manifest because I have played before. I played in the United Nations. I played for chiefs and presidents and this and that, and so I know that when you serve God, nothing can beat that. You might get a fight, but what God is so great, we can't limit the Most High in anything, because remember, His gold is dust to Him. You understand? The cackle upon the earth, the ground, and walk the earth, it belongs to Him. There's nothing greater than what Him can give you, and there's no God. Him is the ultimate cool ruler, Emperor Ali Selassie first and Empress Menen. Any son or daughter will find themselves that resonate with the Most High in Ethiopia as your creator. You go find, say, you have the greatest God and the only true and living God, Emperor Ali Selassie first. See?
Yes,
I
um,
yes, I-
yeah. Did you have any more questions, Brother Joshua? If not, I'll start kind of moving towards the end of our podcast for today and our live for today.
yes, I don't think I really have too much anything else. Um, it's a
Okay.
great convo. You can go ahead.
Okay, I got a couple more questions. Let me
Yes,
make sure uh, we get the ones that are the best or the most important out first. Give me 1 second. Um, yeah, so before we go, I wanted to know, did you have any current and future projects? I
Mm,
personally am excited about your project Tislat and the Lord's Prayer. And I'm also excited to give you the opportunity to talk about the record label that you are now working on and your future plans for your career as far as solo, which I think most artists they go in and then they go solo, and that's when a lot of times you start seeing them take off. So I got a lot of high hopes for the Idrin. I know Almighty is working through him because he speak the truth and the way and the light and the Trinity scene. And so I'm excited to hear, some of the things that you have planned. Yeah, and let us know about your album, or is it the EP? Correct me if I'm misquoting. Is it single or is it album for the people who's listening? so they can go and find this material.
Our latest release, Give Thanks for Highlight, is called Salat, the Lord's Prayer, which was released last Sunday, is now been out for a week. This song I learned it first as a prayer and taught my children, because I believe it's important that we teach them their roots and heritage, as the Bible tells you. We have to teach them the law. So this prayer where Joshua the Christ, Jesus Christos Giwi, is important. And roughly, it was around 2011, maybe. Yeah, around my 30th year when Jack Dewey the melody to the song. And it took a while, to be able to record it. I didn't record it until last year with my band on the West Coast, Dub Rock. Um, so we released that on our label, Vine and Fig Tree Records, which is I and I original creation, but is a joint venture alongside Brother Al Anderson of the original Wailers and Brother Baruch Hines.
Fire.
And we have a great team of people who are working together with us so that we could keep current, what we're doing. The Sellout is a part of our album, our solo album called Dub Rock, which will be released later this year. And we're also releasing Judah Tribe's sophomore album. We have music by with brethren Obed Jean Louis, who just released a beautiful song with Kenny Garrett. We also have Sister Erica Colcroft from Judah Tribe, and Brother Kenyatta Hill, who you'll be hearing on Vine and Fig Tree, and many others. So this is like, it's not just for I and I personally. Vine and Fig Tree is our way to give light to what everybody is doing. I want people to hear what Al Anderson is doing, what his creative spirit is within his experience in and outside of Whalers. I want people to get to know Baruch Hines, who is the son of brother David Hines of Steel Pulse, who is a hip hop master. You know what I mean? Like we all grew up in hip hop. I love to work with people in our generation and elders, and so that we can teach the next generation and keeps up this thing. So that's what Vine and Fig Tree represent, is keep the
Okay.
keeping of our culture. You know.
Seeing. Yeah, we look forward to doing some business with you, man. Because we got the website Gateway to Zion. As you know, uh, like booking shows for artists will be something we're gonna get venture into in the future as well. So if we can collaborate and get a show in the area or some of our areas of impact, that would be great. And just keep it
For
moving,
sure.
man. I'm uber ecstatic for not only the single but the album. I've heard the single, I love it. I just really feel like you're bringing people into a place where they can go into the spirit with this, and that's what prayer is all about. And you actually, we talked on the back channel, and you have brought me up to the awareness of how to establish a environment that's conducive for prayer and supplication to the Most High. And I felt that that was very impactful and beneficial. So before we go, the last question I want to ask is your spiritual walk with Jah. Uh, how does the eye actually walk in the ways of the Most High continually? And I know it seems like a kind of vague question, but a better way to put it is me, I'm a barber. I work in a shop and I have to walk a thin line between business and faith. Although I always let my light shine, but one has to be prudent and also has to be wise. So like the serpent and the dove. See me, I say. So
Yes.
so I'm always letting that light shine for those who are worthy of the light. But how do you now, as an artist, um, how do you continue to grow in Rastafari, and what does the eye do, uh, to stay um, eye tenuously in the ways of His Majesty? Is there a discipline involved with your walk, as many Rastafari have many different points of views on how, you see me, I say, to go about living? Would you affiliate yourself more with like a bingy, with mansions? See me, I say, or How would you identify yourself in Rastafari, and would the I? Because I mean, you may not. I would love to hear your perspective on that, if that's
I man see myself as a highly Selassieite, you know what I mean? As a Rastafarian in search, you're growing, and then you come to the point where you make your vow. Back in the days, you had to make your vow before the witness of two elders, where would lead you into this vow. In our time, we was blessed to be baptized under the ministry of Moses Abuna Fox, at the Church of Haile Selassie the First. And one of the things that I learned from the elders growing up, and even amongst I Rasta elders, is pray without ceasing, and then you hear things say one chapter a day. But in that one chapter a day, you drink milk, and then you start eat meat. So the scripture said we go from faith to faith and glory to glory, line upon line, precept upon precept. You have to understand, say, nothing that is in darkness that won't come to light, everything hidden must reveal. So when you go to the Most High, you know that He is the supreme answer of everything. It's just our finite minds who have to open our capacity to receive knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So with that, my walk with God is become the discipline of uh, having tea with the Father, breakfast with the Father. You know, like you get up in the morning to go to work, but where your mind upon from the time you shift, from the time you left your door, if you put on some spiritual music, and if you get time for read one chapter, you read that one
right.
chapter, and you chew on that until you're going to work, all while you're going to work. Instead of
Right.
you go upon this and that social media, you're looking up scripture, looking up the word of God. You give God for him time. So that way when you clock in upon your job now, your mind upon righteousness, and that influence all your business, all your activity, all your working, no matter which corner of creation you're working upon. You is a tool in the hands of the Almighty. So you
See,
maintain that liberty. And the more you want from God, He will give you. But you say you want more, all right, then set aside time and come have brunch with me. Now come have lunch with me, come have dinner with me, and you find yourself in communion. Communion is that we want to build up with the Most High, is that communion. 'Cause if you call upon Him, if you seek, you will find. If you ask, you will receive. If you knock, the door will be open. That's what Christ tells you. So that's why in that searching we put on Christ. We humble ourselves to the cross to realize that are we have access to the kingdom of His Imperial Majesty through Christ, through
see,
that subduing of ourself, of our carnal nature,
a
um,
lot.
and living the exemplary life. That is what give us access. So we have to see ourselves as Christ, as the hand, as the body of Christ in this time. You know.
See, okay. I'm really, I'm just looking forward to seeing your next show, because I see you stay on shows, you continue to tour. That's a blessing. Anytime you can go somewhere and perform before an audience that's excited, they know your music, and they're looking forward to seeing you. That's a blessing. I actually went to a place today called Squid Lives. You know, it's a restaurant that has like a beach in the back where you can sit on the beach
Okay.
and see. And so those type of places where they had a live band are just the best places on earth to me. You know, it's one thing to be in a concert with tens of thousands of people, which I know you've showcased and I know you've hosted. It's another to be right here in a city with people who are enjoying their off time and listening to great music and eating great food and having a great environment. I think um, these are the years I think in careers where we actually enjoy ourselves the most before everything pours in and takes over. You know, we you have autonomy and the ability to move and make decisions that uh, are yours and not handlers. You know what I mean? I know this industry, they have a
Yes.
lot of handlers. So one thing LeBron did right, which was very wise, was he hired all of his boys from school as his own personal entourage and team. And I
Mm.
believe that this impacted his life tremendously. It gave him the ability to be comfortable in making choices because these are people who he came up with. And I ask yourself, you know, you were on a band, and Judah Tribe has great sound. How were you able to balance that out with band members um, as far
Mm.
as keeping good energy and good vibes around you? Because you, as a lead singer, you have influence on their lives, you know. So, how did you balance your relationship with those and keep, um, you know, good energy around you to, you know, similar to how LeBron did, where this benefited his overall life and mental health, I'm sure, in countless ways. So, yeah, did you have any hand in finding other talent for the group, and or did you also feel responsible for your group members in certain ways in regards to how did you maintain those rapports and relationships?
Indeed. Well, we have to. First thing in leadership is we have to lead by example, and it's important to put the calling first. You know, make the love of the brotherhood after the day. You know what I mean? Because without love, we get caught in our humanity. But the gifts and callings, the reason why Jah brought we together, we put that up first. You know, so that we can be effective. And we try sharpen each other. You know, we Judah tribe, we have a history together, and is a large family. You know, uh, so we are now just, you know, especially after my time with Whalers, we always had something, even if it was one show within a year. I always had something going, but now getting to building back that energy amongst one another, and it's easy when we put ourselves aside. You know, like we come is I like to use Voltron, you know, because we all have gifts and talent, but when we come together, then we realize the fullness of our potential. Like me and as one man, just one man. When you say Judah tribe, it's like whoa, that's a is a force for reckon with. Like you could have said Bob Marley, but when you say Bob Marley and the Wailers, wow, that massive, that army, that collective, that energy, and people will find themselves something where them identify with within that. So that is our main emphasis, you know what I mean? Just to love Jah and live with everything that we do, and let that trust in that, because in the industry we already see what the industry catered to. You know, everything mostly where caters to the flesh and to the carnal nature. But when God call you to a thing, you just have to know. If God
Yeah.
call you and choose you, then Him choose you to bring forth fruit. Him don't call you for stagnate. Even if it take time within your development, you can't watch that. Cause look upon people like Bill Withers. Is when 35 his career start. But we have this fantasy where it's like this thing of youth. But I was taught by elders, I that's why I was called an old soul, because I always wanted to learn from those who paved the way before I and I. So that is
Mhm.
that is key.
Okay. Before we go, and I wanted to do this in the beginning, but I'm gonna do it now because I think it's important for people to get a little background on our brother Josh Barrett, and then we can go ahead and close. Our brother Josh Barrett, that is with us today, is a Grammy-nominated singer and songwriter, a bassist, and producer. He's collaborated with diverse array of artists across various musical genres and the notable collaborations, some of which are like it says here, hip hop legends Q-Tip, a tribe called Quest, Common, Kendrick Lamar, Nas, and Kanye West. The renowned producers and artists Barrett's collaborated with extends to working with legendary producers like Quincy Jones, R&B singer Mary J. Blige, and Motown artist Joy Dennaline. So he has a blues and reggae background, which is um, sensational and interconnected with the movement in Ethiopia and here in the United States. Joshua Barrett represents for Rastafari around the world. Please, if you watch this interview, go and check out his music. Go and check out his new single, and keep your eyes open for his incoming album. Um, yeah, that's it, man. I do appreciate your time today. I think that you're an extraordinary artist and person. I'm excited to see what Almighty has for you in the upcoming future. Collaborations, I think, are gonna just take you to different places. I think when you do what you love, it don't matter where you are on a journey because you enjoy the journey, and I think that's one thing you and me have together is we're enjoying this journey, brother Joshua. Shout out to brother Livical, um, that's came and brother Rombo that's came in. All of the Idrin out there, from brother Nashawn to brother Shiloh. We salute you, give thanks, and we give thanks to yeah, all the Rastafari out there that are working towards unifying the kingdom of God on earth, who have found the gateway to Zion, who have um, accepted the truth about the second coming of our Meshiach, His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie the First, Kedamawi Kedamawi Haile Selassie the First, and one and only Lord of Lords and King of Kings, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of God, defender of the faith, light of the universe, that sly fox, Mr. Smith himself. See me, I say, Ja, Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Yeah. I. So thank the eye. We may jump on Clubhouse afterward if you watch this live or whatever. And if you can, man, please share. If you want to contribute, our cash app is money sign MOSSDERG, the number four PREZ, and all contributions are going to the business. Um, our business LLC is the Global Diasporan uh, Education and Entertainment Network. Our mission is to create a bridge for diasporans from here back to the heart of Africa and beyond to Zion. And that's not just physically, that's metaphysically, that's spiritually, that's educational, that's mental health, that's also herbal health and beyond. So we want to put you up in language classes. Um, we we would like to give you consultation on your business. We would like to book artists. We would like to sell merchandise. So come and check us out. Gateway to Zion essentially is basically going to be a um, online community center where the diaspora can come and engage in interactive activities, debates, live debates, and so much more. So check that out. Gateway to Zion should be up here very soon. Um, so that's it. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Keepers of the Light. And this is the official series that we're doing. It's called Gathering Attention for Dialogue. So stay tuned for our next one. Ja, Rastafari, Celestia.
Rastafari. I.
Rastafari bless. Give thanks again for
Bless
every
it.
hydrant.
The true Red. Appreciate the eye. Brother Josh, you stopped recording?
Yep, just stopped.
Okay. Yeah, brother Josh, man.